Kid knows something's up when we ain't there to give a warm welcome. See, Zolf and I were just wrapping up a heated discussion. Zolf can barely muster the words. The calamity failed, he says, but I will not. And with that, Zolf leaves us here, alone. Zolf cursed the city, cursed the Bastion, cursed me, said he was going home. When Zolf got through reading that journal, he just snapped, started smashing up the monument till I tried to stop him. Zolf banged up the monument pretty bad. But there's a way to put her back together. The shards. We're gonna need all of them to nurse the Bastion back to health. Nothing subtle about those guns, but maybe that's the point. Takes a lot of moving pieces to make a dependable sidearm. The city brought the shards to the wilds. Now the kid's gonna bring them back. After Zolf's little episode, Kid sets off in search of shards. First stop, Jawson Bog. You'll get lost in that bog, I told the kid, and I won't be able to guide you back. Well, I let him go. What else could I do? What could any of us do? Zolf put us in a real bind. Hurt the Bastion bad. But the shards can make it better. They're like smaller doses of the core's medicine. Shame the only place to fill that prescription is out here in the wilds. This place is intoxicating. Don't know where he's gone. Might be gone for good for all I know. Wherever he is, it's somewhere I've never been. Somewhere I never want to go. There's no way out. The dead welcome him with open arms. Kid pops him good. That a survivor? No, ma'am. It's a lonesome ghost of a gas fella. What to a kid who's seen too much. I'm Zolf of Ura. Pleased to make your acquaintance. Now the kid sees something stranger still. Did anybody else survive? Sure enough, he finds peckers, lunkheads, wallflowers, pincushions, vine apples, swamp weeds, ankle gators. Kid can't fall, no matter how hard he tries. Now the Bastion can send him even farther into the wild unknown. Kid sets foot inside one of Ceylondia's famous watering holes. Security's just gonna have to straighten him succeeds where the calamity failed. Would you look at what he did to poor old Ronde the bartender? Proper story's supposed to start at the beginning. It's so simple with this one. Now here's a kid whose whole world's alright, snoozing there on a rock in the sky. He wakes up. I'm just fooling. He sees what's left of the rippling walls. Years of work undone in an instant. He sees what's left of Piff, the bull. The gods, they're all undone. He sees what's left of his lifelong friend. His friend, he's come undone too. He sees what's left undone. Thought we'd lost him, but he finally comes to. The shard ain't lost either. Not anymore. Now to find a ticket out of this hole. bootlickers dig their nasty thorns into his heels. Ever heard of a lung blossom? It's bigger than the stories say. Hard to get a sure footing in the bog. The breath on that thing, like a scumbag sprung a leak. They say one whiff of lung blossom can make you lose your mind. Kid ain't about to be plant food just yet. Well, the kid prunes it down to size somehow. Mother only knows what happened in the bog. Kid never much cared to speak of it. A shard is like a poor man's core, but beggars can't be choosers. That's it. A few more shards like that, and we'll be back in business. A single shard can breathe new life into this place. The shard's got enough juice to spruce up any of these places. Ain't saying much, but that's the greatest forge in all the city. He ain't all that shy. If you're feeling low, count on the buttery flavor of our own Bastion bourbon. Ankle gators used to roam the wilds, and they nested at Rothus Lagoon. Many a tale folks used to scare their children straight originated here. Can't get hasty in a place like this. All kinds of beasts what don't know up from down, still lurking about. Only the city's brushers knew their way around the lagoon. Even the brushers learned to fear this place. They used to think that ankle gators were extinct. Well, they ain't. One of them's been living in the tall grass. They called her Queen Anne. The lagoon's got plenty of other dangers, of course. Turns out Queen Anne got a hold of a shard. Ankle gators love shiny things. Know what smells worse than an ankle gator's breath? A stinkweed. They say you can't hurt an ankle gator unless it's raining. And it ain't raining. The brushers use their pikes to keep their distance around here. Now the kid can do the same. Sharp sticks make Queen Anne nervous, so she backs off a bit. Kid's got a mean throwing arm. Those pin cushions been living off the ankle gator's scraps. Queenie leads the kid into some kind of twisted trap. One bad step in that tall grass and he's Queen Anne's lunch. He holds his ground. Seems the Queen's running out of options. The closer you get to an ankle gator's lair, the thicker the tall grass grows. Kid's gotta make a run for it. That old gator's right on his tail. They make a tasty snack. scared a bunch of peckers out of hiding. Ankle gators don't much care for their young. That's why there ain't many around. Wanna know how to find an ankle gator lair? You use a kid as bait. Now she's coming for him. She's got nowhere else to go. The shard's sitting in plain view. They say if you run across an ankle gator, you better keep running. He's got it, and now to finish her off. She's starting to get annoyed. After all that, Kid lets the ankle gator go. Hope Queen Anne don't mind us borrowing from her treasury. All that trouble for a single shard, but you know what? It was worth it. That gator's a crazy gal. But so is the gal who promised to look after her. They said Queen Anne was just a folktale. Now there's living proof she ain't. The arsenal's complete, in case we need protection. Still no mail. Go figure. The next shard should be farther out there in the wilds. Know how Caelondia became the richest city in the world? 2 words. Point Lemaine. If the wilds could ever be tamed, it was gonna happen right here. The army's triggers once had the place on lockdown. Kid might as well pick up where they left off. Blam! Just like my fighting days. Gun like that can even put the wilds in check. Point Lemaine seen better days for sure, but it ain't done. Whole place shudders in a fit. The grand rail of Point Lemaine. Not only is it still there, it still works. Of course, it's no longer shipping hides and alloys and spices, but it can give the kid a lift. Just as long as he can stay clear of the trouble on the tracks. Kid don't want to miss this train. The Grand Rail's all grown over with things the Calamity chewed up and spat out. Things eager to take back their turf. Kid lets a few of them slip by. Lunkheads settled in like they own the place. Takes fancy footwork on the rail, what with wallflowers coughing fungus everywhere. Only one way to cure a cough like that. Of course, the Grand Rail's seen much more fighting in bygone times. Near on 50 years ago, first shots fired in the Ura-Selandian War. It was right here that Zolf's Ura forefathers decided to mix it up. Okay, so maybe we didn't get their sign-off on the whole Grand Rail thing. That was bad. The rail must have shook the Ura to the bone down in those dens of theirs. Well, the rail won't last much longer now that the kid took the shard. It's still got one good run in store for him, though. All the rotten wood there on the rails turned it into Swamp Weed Central. Ever tried dancing side to side while holding your breath? About choking on swamp weed? About peckers trying to prick you in the eye? Well, let me tell you, it ain't fun. But then, at last, it's the end of the line. He'll be picking swamp weed out of those boots for days. Turns out he's got company up at the rail station, waiting for him. Not just another wallflower a pincushion might get. At first, he thinks it's Zolf. Turns out he's wrong. This is for you, says the man. Then wham! When the kid comes to, the man's long gone. But something else is there. The only words Kid recognizes on that parchment are for Zia. Well, what's a kid to do? He took the shard, he took the hit, and he took that note. That note cuts straight to the heart of things, don't it? Finding gourmet ingredients ain't easy these days, but we'll take what we can get. The note says it plain. Zia, go east to learn the truth about the calamity and our people. I'll be waiting. Sincerely, Zolf. Zolf's messenger was one of his people. Wonder just how many of them survived, and what exactly Zolf told him. It ain't too late to unlock the potential of this place. We need an awful big lost and found under the circumstances. Kid arrives just in time to sample Zia's famous cooking. Takes a careful touch to rattle those bones like that. Bold brandy is thicker than paint. Makes your skin feel as tough as knife bark. He wolfs down too much too fast, and it all goes to his head. I've said a lot about the kid, but he ain't the only one wrapped up in all this. What's he thinking? Let me see if I got this straight. I only heard it once. Once there was a normal Ura girl, but she wasn't born in the Tassel terminals like the rest of her people. She was from Ceylondia. Her folks were orphaned in the war, taken in and raised inside the city, on condition they would never return to the terminals. Refugees who came into the city had to stay for life. It was a way to reduce the risk of city secrets leaking out. Her mama passed away from birthing complications, leaving the girl trapped inside that city with no one but her father. Her father was sharper than a brusher's pike, so he got a job working for the city's mancers. His daughter barely saw him. Her father told her nothing of her Ura heritage. He told her nothing of the Mancers. It's for your own good, he said. She took to studying the arts, learned more through music than history books, gained a knack for strings and songs. At first, she tried to be like other girls, but her classmates spread word that her father was an Ura trader, selling out the city. One young man stood up for her, or so he led her to believe. He knew much of her heritage, and she grew fond of him. Lost my train of thought there. consider taking him to a family den to meet her father. Spoke of how he wanted to meet a man from the terminals. When the young man greeted her father in the Ura's native language, her father flew into a fit of rage and threw them out. The young man never told her that the Ura's native language is not to be used by foreigners. To do so is a terrible insult. Well, I digress. With pike and repeater in hand, he's like a man come straight from the wilds. The shards are getting harder to find. To prepare for the wilds, Ceylonia's brushers practice at Camp Donce. Had to navigate a maze of pincushions with nothing but a pike. It's a dangerous test for a dangerous job. Health tonics were off limits at Camp Dauncey. They said they made you weak. The rules said he couldn't use any fancy footwork, just your brains and your pike. Just getting through the course in one piece was an accomplishment. The Brushers were Caelondia's field agents, and their training was harsh. You had to find a path through the maze as quick as you could. One well-placed throw could take out several of those ugly critters. If you did all right at Camp Dauncey, you got to go to the wilds. Once you started the course, they made you finish. You can see why the Brushers prize those pikes of theirs. Not everything blew up in the calamity. Why, Colford Cauldron here blew up way ahead of its time. The cauldron boiled over some 300 years ago. They say it filled the skies with ash and the lakes with molten rock. If you wanted to survive something like that, He had to learn to adapt. So in a way, the beasts of the wilds, they're all survivors too. It takes a certain stubborn pride to keep on living in a place like this. As for us, we learned an awful lot from Colford Cauldron. That learning led to some interesting inventions. The raw power of the world fell right into our hands. Playing with the cauldron's fires became an addiction. Sure, we dusted off a good many secrets out here. We discovered other things we're better off not knowing. The taste of air so hot it sticks to your lungs. All sorts of awful things crawling underfoot. It's awful hot in there. You can cook those things, but you can't eat them. Never thought we'd find so much life in all that ash. We kept on sifting through the cauldron's secrets anyway. The more ash we swept aside, the more life we found. Place as inhospitable as they come. But still we pressed on. After all, when we look down inside Colford Cauldron, look down through all the smoke and flames. We saw in there the heart of the world, the heart now laid bare by the calamity. We had to have it. As for the kid, he just has to get that shard out of there. Too bad taking that thing woke up every last stink eye from here to Jawson Bog. Kid's thinking he's got to trek all the way back around the cauldron. Luckily, the cauldron cooked up a little shortcut for him. Sure, it ain't the most convenient path. Biggest stink eye he's ever seen's waiting for him on the other side. Pops open on him like a pimple on a school day. Where there's one stink eye, there's always more. The cauldron's tenants all gather up to bid the kid a fond farewell. Kid don't shed any tears for him though. With a good spyglass, you can still see the cauldron from the city, but all the fires died out. There's nothing left of it. He comes back looking like the inside of a chimney. We're all a little short on friends these days, so that's a welcome sight. The shard works like a charm. You can hear the monument's heartbeat again. They said the wild could never be tamed. If only they could see us now. The culture. A still life of old unwanted keepsakes. Just the occasion to crack open the distillery's private reserve. To fix a brusher's pike, you just need a good length of knife bark. Don't want that thing leaving your hands until you decide it's time. Gotta make sure the pointy end's fastened on real tight. We spotted a pecker carrying a shard to Mount Zan. Can't rightly call Mount Zan the mountain anymore. There's no more mountains now. There's no place left for the beasts of the wild to go. We only found that little lair because they found themselves a little shard. The creatures of the wild, they've been building a bastion of their own. But they ain't yet prepared for any company. Best thing we can do for those beasts right now is put them down quick and clean. There's only one kind of mercy left these days. What the city left behind, those beasts took for themselves. Look at it this way. It's either them or us. But if we win, they win too. Our Bastion is everybody's game, not just ours. Unfortunately, there's no explaining that to a simple beast. Those beasts been hard at work fixing up the place. They've rounded up their survivors, just like we have. They've been searching for cores and shards, just like we have. Maybe they've thought about turning back, just like we have. We just really need their shard. Kid got it fair and square. That's the way. The beasts of Mount Zan go all out. He's done what's best for him, don't you worry. Don't you worry. We'll all be better off once the Bastion is complete. The monument's getting better. Zolf sure did a number on it, though. Fixed that thing right up, didn't we? Made these goings-on a little livelier. The memorial may be finished, but our part is far from over. Don't look down. We'll all be better off once the Bastion is complete. Fixed that thing right up, didn't we? Made these goings-on a little livelier. The monument's getting better. Zolf sure did a number on it, though. Suppose it's true a little song can put things in perspective. Seems the gods recommended this place to all their friends. Garmouth. Just a couple shards left. The quarry's gotta have one, right? Imagine everything you'd need to build a city like Zealandia. It takes hard work and planning, and it also takes a burststone quarry. The Ura tunnels beneath the quarry must have softened the blow from the calamity. We bought the whole place from the Ura on the cheap. Same goes for its natives, rattletails. Why would the Ura put up with those pests? The quarry came with a lifetime supply of windbags. Windbags smaller than the naked eye can see are nesting in those rocks. Not only are these rocks a source of life, we found that the oldest ones remember things. They're recording everything, all the time, taking it all in. No wonder all those beasts were drawn to the quarry. The rocks were calling them. Keeping the quarry free from pests turned out to be a problem. Rattletails kept tunneling in to snack on windbags. Without those windbags, the quarry might not have its special qualities. Rattletails filled the place with holes. Now why would the Ura sell off such a fascinating place? The Ura always were a superstitious lot. Might be the gods told them the quarry's bad news. In any case, it's fair to say the quarry was a godsend. those rocks, all polished to a mirror sheen. The largest ones, you know as cores. Single core could keep the lights on in an entire city district. The smaller ones, we call them shards. The shard's got a fraction of a core's power, enough to fuel a voyage to the motherland. Remember how I said Rattletails ain't the worst thing in the quarry? That honor goes to a beast we took to Colin, Sir Lunky. Massive thing stomped many of our boys. We just couldn't get rid of him. The only thing harder than the rocks in Bastion quarry is Sir Lunky's head. His big fat rump's plenty tough too. So is a kid. We never could get stubborn old Lunky to leave the quarry alone. Then the kid hears a voice calling from down the hall. "Are you all right?" it says. It's him. "I've come to warn you," he says. "The Bastion is under siege. Let it fall. You should not go back." Kid hears him, but he ain't about to be deterred. If that's the way it is, he says, then I won't stop you. Because my countrymen will. Say what you will about Zulf, but he's a man of his word. His countrymen don't much care for pleasantries, though. Too bad for that. Zulf showed him the way here, and here they came to take revenge. They got inside the Bastion and shut the door. Kid's gotta go in through the back. I should have told him sooner about all this. To make matters worse, seems the Ura took the girl. No way out of this, not without a fight. Unfortunately, they broke in, and they started digging their holes. Something wrong sprung out of those holes, and it's eating away at this place. We tried to stop them, but we needed help. Our baby pecker, we don't make it. Somehow, some way, he sends those Ura packing. Problem is, it didn't matter. Zulf's plan worked. We find each other as the dust settles. Then I tell him why the Ura came. To get us back. For the calamity. It was Caelondia's master plan to wipe the Ura out. But part of that plan backfired, didn't it? If only Zulf knew the whole story. What were we to think? They must have got her, taken her back to her rightful home. The shards can put this disease in remission, but there's only one cure. We need to finish what we started. The memorial may be finished, but our part is far from over. We ain't much for pleasantries. sanctuary. If we can build, we can rebuild. The conscience. We haven't lost everything, long as we have that. You don't want to know what he did to that thing, but believe me, it works. Fallen malt is filled with crunchy minerals that'll keep you safe out on them rocks. One last shard. It's all we need to put this mess behind us. And mother, what a mess it is. A mess like that could have only been made by hand. Zolf said the calamity failed, and he's right. The Ura stand is living proof of that. At the heart of the calamity was a simple idea. We never wanted to go to war again. Wanted to rule it out. Put a lot of folks against that problem. Scientists, soldiers, spies, even me. We sought solutions far beyond the city. We traveled near as far as the kid's going right now. Most of our efforts didn't bear fruit. Then there was a breakthrough, but it didn't come from one of our people. It came from an Ura, a brilliant young scientist named Ven. Ven worked for the Mancers, the sharpest knives in the city's drawer. With his help, the Mancers devised a way to seal the Ura tunnels shut in a flash. Just like that, every last Ura living in the Tassel terminals will be gone. We're lucky to be alive. But Ven didn't like being manipulated. He had plans of his own. He sabotaged the Mancer's little science project, set it to blow up in their faces. Imagine how Ven must have felt when they finally made him pull that trigger. But remember, the Bastion can fix everything. We just need that shard. Too bad the Ura ain't exactly been willing to collaborate on that front. For now, Kid has little choice but to pick up where the Calamity left off. First things first, though. There's someone we figured needed rescuing. See ya. The Ura fell back, no doubt planning the next move, but we knew ours already. Rushers. They moved in shadows, but the calamity found them. The city, its riches nothing but fragments now. There's something we had to do before going after that last shard. Well, now it's personal, ain't it? It's personal for him, and it's personal for me. They never saw him coming. He gets his hands on the care package I sent him. It's a little something I've been fixing up in my spare time. The Hura found a way to keep the calamity from spreading through Sultan's Hollow. They got their own security and everything. Pretty fancy. Still, they ain't used to having visitors around. They've got these conductors that are all what's keeping the place together. Break enough of those things and the calamity rocks slink back into the ground. Well, the Hura must be in a panic right about now. Those rocks are like tumors, the same kind the Hura planted in the Bastion. It's not the time to get reckless. They even sick their little rattletail pets on the kid. Those rodents are just a bump in the road. Kid's picking the whole place apart, piece by piece. By now, every Ura from here to the terminals must know he's in town. Kid returns their greeting tenfold. Most of the Ura's conductors are squared away in the middle of the hollow. They're easy targets. The Ura ain't pulling their punches. Those calamity rocks must be eating that place apart from the inside. The Ura swooped down from the east. At least now we know the way. When the Ura attacked, we took it hard. And now? It's personal for him, and it's personal for me. They never saw him coming. He gets his hands on the care package I sent him. It's a little something I've been fixing up in my spare time. The Ura found a way to keep the calamity from spreading through Sultan's Hollow. They got their own security and everything. Pretty fancy, even. They've got these conductors that are all what's keeping the place together. Break enough of those things and the calamity rocks slink back into the ground. Those rocks are like tumors, the same kind the Ura planted in the Bastion. Well, the Ura must be in a panic right about now. Kid's done using the Calamity's power for now, but the Ura ain't finished. They even sick their little rattletail pets on the kid. Those rodents are just a bump in the road. now, every Ura from here to the terminals must know he's in town. Kid returns their greeting tenfold. Most of the Ura's conductors are squared away in the middle of the hollow. Those calamity rocks must be eating that place apart from the inside. The Ura keep hanging on to their barricade. After all, their homeland's not much farther. Maybe they know they've lost this. Lost to a kid. They underestimated us. Had us pegged all wrong. Yes, our people caused the calamity, but here we are trying to fix it. The Ura ain't pulling their punches. Want to keep the wilds at bay? Bag yourself a musket and a pike. Now we're looking at some serious firepower. When the Ura attacked, we took it hard. And now? It's personal for him, and it's personal for me. They never saw him coming. He gets his hands on the care package I sent him. It's a little something I've been fixing up in my spare time. They got their own security and everything. Pretty fancy, even. Still, they ain't used to having visitors around. They've got these conductors that are all what's keeping the place together. Break enough of those things and the Calamity Rocks slink back into the ground. Those rocks are like tumors, the same kind the Ura planted in the Bastion. Well, the Ura must be in a panic right about now. They even sick their little rattletail pets on the kid. Those rodents are just a bump in the road. By now, every Ura from here to the terminals must know he's in town. Kid returns their greeting tenfold. They're easy targets. Most of the Ura's conductors are squared away in the middle of the hollow. Those Calamity Rocks must be eating that place apart from the inside. The Ura ain't pulling their punches. The Ura keep hanging on to that barricade. After all, their homeland's not much farther. Some of them are downright bewildered by what's happening. Maybe they know they've lost this, lost to a kid. They underestimated us, had us pegged all wrong. Yes, our people caused the calamity, but here we are trying to fix it. Did the Ura really think we just turn around and walk away? Shame the opportunity for civilized discourse is over. Suppose old Zolf should have got to know us better. Maybe I should have trusted him, told him everything I knew. As the hour grows desperate, the Ura bring out their big guns. Too bad for them, our guns are bigger still. There's nothing standing in his way no more. He sees the Tazzle terminals loom large on the horizon. Way out there on the edge of the world, that's where he finally finds you. But it ain't like Prosper Bluff this time. Ain't nothing for this gal to sing about now. Zia, you weren't kidnapped. No, ma'am. You just had to see what happened to the Ura, to your own people. You had to see if everything Zolf wrote to you was true. Sure you didn't drop that twangy thing on purpose? Just to see if he'd go after you. They lost everything, didn't they? But they just keep on fighting like that's gonna bring it all back. I don't need to see what happened to the Ura. I'm trying to undo it, remember? Long reach and plenty of power. Now that's a scary combination. The country, she's all to pieces now, but still looking good. Once the kid gets that last shard from Zulf, it'll all be over. I can't hear him at all anymore. He's too far away. But he'll be all right. Just needs to get that shard from Zulf and come on home. The calamity hit the Tazzle terminals hardest of all. You know why Zulf went back there. The place was his home. All his old friends and family were there. Taken by the calamity. Zulf must be there all alone, just waiting. You know what's funny? Zulf's waiting. All of us are waiting for a kid. Look around. There's not much left to do here in the Bastion, I'm afraid. So why not tell each other stories to pass the time, right? But Zia, there's another reason I've been telling you all this. There's something I want you to understand. When the kid brings back that shard, the Bastion will be complete. This disease the Earth planted here will go away. Caelondia will be whole again. Everyone will be all right. Everything will be back to normal. Problem is, we'll all be gone. Oh, we're not gonna die. It's more like all of this will just stop. Things will go back to the way they used to be. That's the power of the Bastion. This whole place is a living record of the times before the calamity, the way things were before this story. Good times, right? Be your old self again. Think of all those times that didn't go your way. Little setbacks. Imagine if you could have another go at him. Mistakes. Anyone you've ever hurt. Everything you've ever done, you could do it over. And wouldn't that be grand? Wouldn't you agree? Well, I guess there's nothing more to say. Who am I kidding? Look. There's something else. A confession. How come I know so much about the Bastion? Well, I designed the place, but that's beside the point. There's one problem with a place that sets things back to a bygone time. You can't test it. So you're probably wondering if the calamity happened already. What's to stop it from happening again after the Bastion does its thing? The answer is, I don't know. You're wondering if there ain't some other way out of this mess. It's all right. I can tell. But why would you even want another way? Unless you wanted to stay here with us.
왜? 어? 지금 베스천. 아이씨, 또? 뺍. 알겠어, 이거. 아, 나 지금 근데 이거 마지막 탄인 것 같은데. 아이, 죽을래? 기다려봐. 알겠어. 네가 불러.